The opinions expressed by the host and guests in this show are not necessarily the views of Children's Health Defense.
Good morning, CHD. Welcome to Pediatric Perspectives, where we are looking at children's health challenges from a different perspective, one that includes critical thinking, one that's not afraid to give you the honest truth. I have a real privilege today to welcome a guest by the name of Isabella Yon. Thank you for joining us on Pediatric Perspectives.
Thank you so much for having me, Dr. Paul. I'm so excited to be here with your lovely audience.
So Bella, you have your own show on CHD TV, Mothers to Be. I know you cover really important topics for mothers to be and current moms, and you toured with the CHD bus. I remember seeing you there. You are a young mom. I think I overheard you've got another one coming.
Yes, I have two with one more on the way.
One more on the way. Congratulations. And I think you're a real voice of reason that the nation needs to hear from moms like you. So I wanted to start with perhaps what inspired you to start Mothers to Be?
I have thankfully been just aware of this amazing knowledge in the medical freedom community for a long time. My brother Billy, as you probably know, Polly told me his story. I'm Polly's daughter. And so my brother Billy was diagnosed with autism, a vaccine injury when he was young. And so I grew up witnessing that. And so I knew I never wanted to vaccinate my children. We also saw the amazing power of food and how that impacted Billy's speech and development when we started to integrate these more holistic healing modes, how just his brain functioning just skyrocketed and he just healed in so many different ways. And that was so profound for me to witness growing up. You know, I'm only 1 year older than him, so I really grew up side by side with Billy and, you know, experienced all of that. And so when I became a mother, I knew these things, but I was getting so frustrated because when I was pregnant with my first child, Theo, I was so excited. I downloaded all the apps. I looked up, you know, all these websites, the Bump, all the mainstream things. And I was like, where is the information? Where is the real information that I've been able to learn from my family and this amazing community? But these mamas are just not going to be getting it. You know, the apps are so exciting to see the development of baby week over week. But then there's, you know, one very half-hearted article saying, oh, you must eat this many calories a day, but nothing about, okay, you're about to go to your, you know, 20-week appointment. Maybe you'll be offered a vaccine. Maybe you'll be offered a scan. Just all the information wasn't there. And so I said, you know what? If it's not out there, I need to create it myself. I need to take all of the fun, interactive things about watching baby grow and all the exciting things about becoming a new mum, but also provide all of this education and really just informed consent that mamas need to hear. And so that's how I conceived Mothers to Be. I also really wanted to focus on preconception all the way through to that first year of life, because I was also finding that things were solely dedicated to either pregnancy or only fertility. And pregnancy is a journey. You know, you start when you're really excited and you're starting trying for a baby with your husband, and then all the way through to making those big decisions on this sweet baby and your, you know, what pediatrician do I go to? Do I vaccinate or not? What do I feed my baby when it turns 6 months? What about breastfeeding? All these questions, I wanted to put them in one place, provide all of the information, not just one side, and let mamas really feel empowered to make their own decisions.
I think you sort of outlined what makes Mothers to Be different as a really important source of information for new moms. I confess I have not studied what you're doing. Do you have a website, or is it just a matter of watching the videos?
Yeah, so we have a website, motherstobe.com, and really on our website, we do go into those different sections. So when you enter, it says, hey, mama, like, where are you on your journey? Are you trying to conceive? And if it is, how can we support your body during this time? Are you fueling your body with great foods? Are you eating organic? Do you have clean water? Is your husband doing the same? And then we also go through pregnancy, like I mentioned, that week by week development, getting mamas really excited, but also informed on what might come up at their next OB appointment. What nutrients should they be focusing on to really ensure baby is getting a great start in life? And then birth, of course, needs to be covered. So many women are having horrendous birth experiences. And I believe so strongly that birth is God's design for women, and it can be absolutely beautiful. It's not necessarily an easy thing, but it can be so beautiful. And I've thankfully had those experiences and want mamas to know they can do the same. And then the first year. So if you go to the website, you'll be able to really find whichever season you're in and hopefully just feel really supported. And that's my goal with Mothers to Be. And I think that's what makes it different.
Fantastic. So your vision for Mothers to Be and this next generation of moms and children, what's your hope?
It's getting better, but I think currently there's still a lot of shame surrounding natural parenting. There's still a lot of, oh, well, that's unsafe. Oh, you're doing a home birth? That's very dangerous. And my dream is for mums to be able to make their own decisions and not receive any weird backlash for it. People just to accept, okay, that mum has done their research and they know what they're doing. And again, most importantly, for mamas to truly know and believe what they are doing. You know, have the research and think, okay, I feel so well informed. I know this is the right decision. No guilt that comes after it because you've done the work to put in. I mean, in an ideal world, you know, we'd have healthy babies running around. The chronic illness rate for children in this country is just diabolical. I see it everywhere I go. It breaks my heart. My oldest child just turned 4, and I'm seeing in his peers just chronic sickness, chronic illness, developmental disorders. I mean, it's truly everywhere, and something needs to be done in order to stop it moving forward. Otherwise, I'm actually terrified to think what the world would be like when my son and daughter are grown up and they're having children of their own. So I'm hoping that Mothers to Be at least helps towards that cause. You know, all of us together hopefully can help just make mamas and babies and families healthier and happier and reduce all this just devastating illness we're seeing in our country and around the world.
My mom was a nurse midwife trained at Yale and did home deliveries.
Amazing.
Most of her career. And it sounds like, did you have your babies at home too?
I did. I've had 2 home births and I'm going for a third.
Wow.
You know, it was funny when I first started researching births. I think there's also always a part of you that's like, oh, is this safe? Because again, it's so pushed by the mainstream that you have to have your birth in a hospital. Otherwise, it's incredibly dangerous and something could go wrong. And there's a lot of noise out there. But of course, I thankfully have access to all of these amazing minds at CHD and in our community. And so after some research, I knew that home birth was the way I wanted to go. And I've had 2 absolutely fantastic birth experiences. My first labor was long. I was also very sick during it. I was vomiting a lot, but I was able to, you know, replenish with electrolytes and drink and eat, which a lot of people aren't allowed to do in the hospital, which is another amazing perk of having a home birth. And just being in your own space, I think, does so much for your stress levels, which of course just optimizes the whole birth experience and process. And so, yeah, two really fantastic births. And then you can just crawl into bed with your baby and also not get any pressure. You know, I've had friends, and I know, and I say this, I know you can have amazing hospital birth experiences. I also know that not all home birth experience do go as planned. Not all births go as planned. Thankfully mine have. And I think just to not put myself in a position where I'm experiencing pressure and stress was really critical for me. I wanted to be in my own space with my worship music playing and just in my own cocoon almost as I'm birthing, versus having people saying, well, you need this intervention. You need to move now. You need to lay on your back. You need to get an epidural. You need Pitocin. And I really just wanted to avoid all of that with my births.
Well, congratulations on being a pioneer in this day and age. That takes some planning and a bit of courage, although honestly, the statistics for home births are pretty good. I mean, 95% of them go great.
Yes.
And that 5% chance that maybe you do need to go to the hospital, well, you have a backup plan for that.
Yeah, exactly. And I think people think of home birth as unassisted birth, and they're 2 very different things. Interview a midwife in your area, find one who's experienced, ask them about their transfer rates, ask them about why, you know, people are getting transferred. Ask them for opinions and experiences of other mamas. And if you can connect with them who have had birth experiences with them, you know, really learn and get to know your midwife prior to hiring them for your birth. And I think that also helps with those statistics and with it being a successful outcome.
I mean, once you've lived with someone who had a serious vaccine injury like Billy did, I mean, you can't unsee and unknow what you know.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
this really sets you up, I think, to be a leader in understanding that this is a real thing. When you toured with the bus,
Yeah.
how did that change your view, if at all, or maybe it just reinforced what you knew?
Gosh, it was so unbelievably eye-opening. And I know anyone who was on that bus will say the same thing. I think certainly for me, when we started off on that bus tour, all I really knew and had even thought about was Billy's experience, which of course was the MMR and autism-like symptoms, vaccine injury. When we went on that bus and we started to meet all these different people with all sorts of different vaccine injuries, it was so harrowing and shocking to me. I remember meeting Hannah, who's my age. I think she was maybe 2 years younger than me. And she was talking about her HPV Gardasil experience. And, thankfully I didn't ever get that for obvious reasons, what my parents knew. But the fact that there was someone else my age who was literally wheelchair bound and experiencing just the most horrific symptoms from a vaccine that, again, I had no idea could cause injury or harm. And we saw this going around. It was not just MMR. It was honestly every single vaccine I think we heard. And to sit in and listen to those stories, there is such power in testimony. I really believe that. Data and science is incredible. It really is. And some people thrive on that. But some people also need to hear from real life people and the pain of what they're going through, and actually just the devastation that this can actually cause and how it can totally change your life. And I walked away from that tour, gosh, I think I was maybe 17 or 18 years old. I was young. I was young, maybe a little older. I was young. And it was just so profound to me and so eye-opening. And I knew I would never put anything in my body, whether it be a vaccine or a pharmaceutical drug or a pill or anything, even a supplement, without fully researching and also hearing other people's experience with that product.
So powerful. Can you speak to the pressures that new moms are facing regarding vaccines, and how would you coach them? I mean, you grew up knowing that there was an issue, but some of these moms, it's a new thought. What? Vaccines aren't safe?
Yep.
How would you encourage moms to tackle that whole question?
Yeah, I think it can feel very overwhelming. My husband's in the military, so we are in the military community. And a lot of these people have grown up, with their husbands and their families just getting vaccines, and that's all they know. And so when they start to hear things as it's being spoken about more and more, or if I share Billy's story, they're suddenly like, oh gosh, I had no idea. And it's incredibly overwhelming. Where do I begin? And so it must be we actually have curated a list of resources. And we've also just released our blessing bags. They're free. We give them away each month. And essentially the idea is that we send these to mamas who are pregnant, and it provides key education for them. Vax Facts is actually going to be in our blessing bags. So I definitely recommend, starting off with a book that breaks it down clearly. And I think Vax Facts is an excellent book for that. Dissolving Illusions is also great. Those are probably my two favorites, but I love the way Vax Facts breaks it down and really takes the overwhelm out.
Well, thank you for that. I did write it with the intention that it be an easier read for parents, but still have enough science. So even doctors or people who need the science, I mean, the references are all there.
I would also say one key thing that I found is really helpful is to find a community of mamas who are going down this journey. I think it can feel very isolating when you are starting to research and come to these realizations, and then everyone around you is, oh no, that's crazy. You're crazy for even thinking it. Find your people. This sounds maybe a little bit silly, but again, as a military community, we move around a lot. And one of the first things I do, if you have social media, is get on Facebook and type in like natural mums and then your area. So say if you live in Austin, it would be Natural Mums Austin, Crunchy Mums Austin, and just find a community and start to make friends of people who are going to be supportive, not necessarily push their ideas, but just be supportive. Firstly, if you have unvaccinated children, they're actually okay to hang out with you and your kids, but also just supportive of your research and coming to your own conclusions. I found that to be so massively helpful. Community is everything. I really do believe that, especially as a mama. We need the village. Where has our village gone in today's society?
Yep. And I think more and more young parents are waking up. And so it won't be as hard as you might think.
Yeah. And I've seen that so drastically, again, from when I went on tour with Vax. This was pre-COVID, and I was considered very strange. People amongst my age group thought it was incredibly weird that I spoke about Billy's story. Then COVID happened and I had my son in 2021, and I started to notice slowly but surely more people were opening their eyes, doing research and making these decisions for their kids and choosing even just, opting for a homeopathic remedy for teething versus Tylenol, things like that. And now, I had my daughter a year ago, and it's incredible how many people are like-minded.
Yeah.
It really is cool to see.
Are your kids healthy?
They are unbelievably healthy, Dr. Paul. They really are.
That's so wonderful. With a brother who had a severe vaccine reaction, you have risk factors for being at risk for harm from vaccines.
Sure.
They're working out some of these genetic risk factors. You can actually do some pre-testing. But honestly, I was just recently at a conference where they covered this, and every single child born in the world has risk factors. It's just a matter of some are worse than others. You're a testament to the fact that going natural and avoiding all these interventions is really, for almost everyone, that's all that's required. We could have healthy kids again. It's so exciting. And I'm so happy that you have your show, Mothers to Be, and that as a resource. Thank you for your work.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It is cool. And again, it's really encouraging to see the benefits that come from putting in the work of more of a natural living. And I say put in the work, actually, I think it's easier. You don't have to take them to the well checks. You don't have to buy all these things. Truly fresh air, great food. We live by the beach, so we spend lots of time outside, barefoot, running around, clean water, adequate sleep. I mean, just all the things that you can do, natural remedies if ill. And I say this, I actually think this is really important to note. A lot of people, I think, in our community think that unvaccinated kids don't get sick at all. It's not true in my case. My kids do get things. They get colds and flus and hand, foot, and mouth disease, all the things. Of course they do. But the way they get over them is outstanding. It's really interesting. A few days and they're completely fine. I mean, really, I feel like these illnesses are short. They bounce back great. Again, we usually opt for natural medicine options. We actually see a online pediatrician. Mindset Kids are great. If anyone needs a recommendation, they provide natural remedies first. And again, it's amazing how quickly these kids, when their immune systems aren't compromised, can just kick back against these things. But they do get them. Of course they do.
Thanks for mentioning to our audience Mindset Kids. I'm actually on the board of that organization. They are doing a really, really good job of providing. I mean, basically, there are so many people who there's no pediatrician near them that will allow them to not vaccinate.
Yeah.
And so what do they do? And people are like, well, what am I going to do? Well, go to Mindset Kids and you will have online access and you can trust this organization. I mean, they are all about natural remedies first, but they're also very scientifically sound. So that's a great reminder. How can people find your show, find your website? But then if you could have the last word on what you really want new moms or prospective parents to know.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So we do host our Mothers to Be segment every Monday on the wonderful CHD TV. You can also find us motherstobe.com. Again, we have so much just completely free information for mamas and resources there. And we're also on social media where we share great interviews and just educational resources. I think if I could give some advice to mamas, and the one thing I've learned from motherhood is trust your gut, truly. There is so much noise in motherhood, whether it comes to what you should do medical wise for your baby, what schedule your baby should be on, what your baby should be eating, what its weight should be, height should be. There's so much fear and noise and stress that comes with parenting. Honestly, from the moment you're pregnant, but also from the moment that baby's born, everyone will shout opinions at you. I am such a strong believer that you know your baby better than absolutely anyone else. Each baby is different. Each mama is different. So trust your gut. You know your baby. You know what your baby needs. Most importantly, that baby just needs you. Really just needs you and love. And don't let anyone diminish that. It's easy to listen to everyone else and go against what you believe is best for your baby, but try not to do that. You are your best advocate for your baby and really all your baby needs.
Thank you for that reminder. I mean, we all have access to intuition, but I think there is something very special about a mom's intuition with regards to that developing baby in your body.
Yes.
The connection, just the maternal instinct that kicks in to say, you know, this is my responsibility. It's a God-given gift to protect, right? And nurture and protect that developing human that's connected and a part of you. It's beautiful, it's special. And the last thing you want to do is do anything that would be harmful. So keeping your stress low, you know, keeping just a healthy lifestyle, and, you know, follow on with mothers to be, that you can really get the support. And I love your earlier comment about finding community.
Yeah.
If I was having a baby, you'd be part of my community, and I would be on Mothers to Be as often as I could be.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Dr. Paul, for having me on today.
You are so welcome, and thank you again for your time and your wisdom.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm Dr. Paul. You can also find me at kidsfirstforever.com. I coach. I do travel around and speak around the country, and possibly I'll see you at one of those talks, and I look forward to seeing you next week.
Okay, we are live. Can you tell us your name, please?
I can. It's Ani Avedissian.
And who are you?
Well, I'm a spiritual counselor, energy worker, and a paranormal activity specialist.
And what do all three of those things mean?
Okay, that means I'm here to put the world into divine alignment and to bring common sense and common decency back onto this planet. I'll give you a little bit about my background because that will just facilitate the whole interview, okay? I was raised in my father's hotel in West Central London, which also doubled up as a safe house for various military intelligence and secret service organizations. And I was raised in an environment where I knew about the deep state machinery, the Illuminati, and the agenda of what the United Nations was going to turn into, what the WEF was going to be, what the WHO was going to be. So I didn't have to awaken into any of those things. I come from that culture. And there's also no easy way to say the fact that both my father and I were compromised into working for the people that we are now actively fighting against. I'm a specialist in identifying and dealing with Luciferian energies. And all vaccines, especially this one, this fake vaccine, the COVID-19 one, is a Luciferian agenda. I want to explain to people what that means because they hear that word and they go, oh, it's some religious right-wing nut job. And where I am a libertarian conservative, I'm not religious, but there is a supreme cosmic intelligence out there. Luciferianism seriously just means that you go against the establishment. The people who worship Lucifer are the people that we call the upper echelons of deep state. And they do this because Lucifer turned his back on co-creation with source energy. And when genetic material was available, when we first started to have the first physical universes, Lucifer became a bit of a mad scientist and started to experiment with the genetics and created the very first vibrations of what we call terror and fear. So these Luciferians, they do not worship the divine, they worship only the material. Since they don't co-create with the divine, they need energy from somewhere. And the only place that they can get energy to feed off is the fear of the people inhabiting whatever planet they happen to be colonizing at that time. I've seen probably about, I'm counting close to 200 vaccine-injured people over the last 5 years, all of them from the COVID-19 vaccine. And I wanted to just tell you a little bit about what I'm seeing with these vaccines. They're not vaccines for a start, and they're not all the same. Some of them, the very worst ones, they produce a sort of what I call a nanobot. It looks like a parasite, because I'm trained to read things inside the body, and I can talk to these entities, but they generally don't talk back. The ones from this COVID-19, they're very intelligent, even though they're hive mind. And I started to see people come in with strange symptomology. The only common denominator was that they had all been vaxxed, right? And I'm looking into the body and I can see all of these little parasites, and they're all replicating inside the body, and they're forming a sort of an intelligence network. This is extremely troubling to me, and it should be to everyone, because that I asked that, why do you need an intelligence network when we are divinely connected? This particular intelligence network is there to cut humans off from their divine interface so that they will be able to take orders or instruction from another entity, an entity that is not who we call God. That is the worst of the vaccines that I've seen. Other things that I've seen, of course, are the thickening of the blood, where you've got these blood clots, and the entities themselves will tell you, this is what I'm here to do. We also have entities in there that go straight into the brain and start to produce things similar to early Alzheimer's, where they start to attack and shrink areas of the hippocampus. I know, because of my background, that there is a Luciferian agenda to turn this planet into a slave camp of transhumans and then post-humans. That has always been the agenda. And the only way to get people to buy into this agenda is by deception and trickery. And if you have, especially a country like America, which I love, I'm a very proud American, I always will be, but we tend to worship hospitals and we tend to worship illness and we buy into it. And we create these hospitals and these pharmaceutical organizations that are palaces of pain. And we worship our pain and we identify with our pain. So it wasn't very difficult to convince people to go and have an experimental shot in a car park and then get a donut or a freebie or something like that. You know? So I'm here specifically to tell people how you can overcome this. I'm not going to talk about medicine because that's not my background. You go and you see these wonderful alternative doctors that are taking the spike proteins out of your body and doing what they need to do. That's lovely, and I'm sure that with persistence, diligence, and focus, that will work well, because physical bodies need physical remedy. But this is a Luciferian agenda. We are not Luciferians. We are divine beings, or cosmic, if you don't like the term divine. The only way to overcome this and to make all of the other health protocols, medical protocols, useful and efficacious is for you, all of the world, I'm talking to everybody right now, own what you are. You are supreme cosmic intelligence. Each and every one of us, we are an individualized manifestation of supreme cosmic intelligence. We should stop praying to God and start acting as representatives of God. That phrase, to thine own self be true, we need to own our sovereignty. This is what has happened. We have created an apathetic and naive and distracted citizenry. We need to get back to the spirit of 1776 and own our sovereignty. And what does sovereignty mean? Sovereignty translates to common sense, common decency, common courtesy, common empathy, things that make sense on this world. The harmonious flow that comes from one's divine alignment simply makes sense. Look around you today and tell me you are not in a cesspool of insanity with so many confused people, misinformation on both sides, because that's how this kind of warfare is fought. People are very, very confused, very tired, very scared, very weary. I don't care if you're religious, I'm not. But you have to understand that there's something out there that is greater than all of us. And that thing is pure and unblemished, which means that at our core, we are pure and unblemished. So each and every incarnation we have is another chapter in our lives. Right now, here we are on planet Earth, at the cusp of a great awakening. We've had the deception. We're going through some sort of cataclysm. We are now awakening to the fact that if we're not proactive as citizens and as sovereign beings, we will be at the beck and call of darker energies for the rest of our lives. I don't believe that's what needs to happen on planet Earth. I think that what is going to happen right now is we're going to have a mass awakening, thanks to the people like you on this bus. We're having a mass awakening, and people are going to relearn what sovereignty is. When you own your sovereign soul, no one can convince you to do anything that doesn't feel right to you. When you go back into divine or cosmic alignment, your vantage point changes tremendously. and you look upon the world as some crazy computer game that you're playing. And because you have processed the emotions around it, you're no longer angry or triggered or troubled. You see what's happening in a cool, calm, objective way, which is the way that sovereign people with divine alignment act. You'll be able to see what the situation is, and you'll be able to be in your power and say, this doesn't make sense. I don't think I'm going to do this. So that's most of really what I wanted to say today, is you can't do this without owning your true nature.
Fascinating. Although I don't like it when you say we've got to stop praying to God. I think that's one of the most important things we should be doing.
No, I disagree. We are gods in bods. Rather than praying to God as an outside entity, we should be cognizant that we are individualized manifestations of God, and step up and be the people that God expects us to be. So what I'm saying is, don't delegate your salvation, but own the God that is within you. Does that make better sense?
From where you're coming from, I hear what you're saying. I have a little different on that, but a lot of what you said, I'm bang on with. I mean,
Okay.
But isn't that how the way the world works?
Well, it's fine. And if you're at a place where you want to pray to God, then pray to God. But then you move to pray with God, hopefully.
Well, so oh dear. But listen, what I would say is that you are. I love the whole. But we've got to start to. I think for years we've been brainwashed. For certainly me in a British school. Learn to obey, learn to be a good girl, learn to respect authority, and then you're brainwashed, and then you just bow down. You're right. We bow down to the white gods of whatever the medical professionals, and we've got to turn that around, and we've got to own it and trust our gut instinct, which I call our God instinct.
Amen.
So, see, you're saying amen. You do believe in God.
Of course I believe in God. How could I not believe in God?
I'm really confused.
Of course I believe in God. I use the word God. You're saying to me, why? I'm saying to you, don't pray to God. God created you. Everything that God is in you. Each and every one of us. We're not lesser beings. We're perfect molecular structures of pure source energy. Own the innate godliness within you and be God's representative on earth. That's all. Of course I believe in God.
Okay, good. So I was a little confused there.
Okay, I'm glad to have
I represent probably the average person in this world that gets confused. So that's good. My questions are good because someone else will be going, I thought that too. So a lot of this is great. I mean, maybe all of it. I don't know. Everyone will be. It's a difficult subject, this, because everybody's so picky. And gets it, it's like the vegans. They attack us more than anything else in the world. More than vaccinations, God, or anything.
Yep.
God love you, vegans, but I don't know where we're going with this, but but it's extraordinary that this is a subject that's very volatile. Yeah. So here's what I want, as we go into a new pandemic, which we are going into, by the way, everybody. It's either bird flu, climate change, all of it, who knows. What is your advice so that these people, and you've seen the outside of this bus, do not make the same mistake again and fall into fear, because fear is where it starts.
Yes. That is the tool of the cabal. I want people to understand that if, without fear is the food for the darker side of the establishment. And we weren't supposed to have fear. We weren't created to have fear. We were created with the amygdala and all to have a heightened sense of awareness for danger. Right? The human race has been compromised and henpecked to death so that we're terrified of just about everything, whether it's happening, or potentially going to happen. Understand that fear is an absolute illusion, and this is why I say own your sovereignty, own the godliness within you, because fear does not exist in the original coding of mankind's blueprint. There is no such thing as fear. There is a heightened state of awareness so that you can make decisions pertinent to your physical safety. Just buy into the fact that you are a magnificent, immortal, eternal being who is adored by your creator. That vantage point alone will give you cool, calm objectivity, and you'll be able to look around and say, I don't think I'm going to stick that thing in my arm or bum or wherever they put these vaccines these days. You'll just say, no, I don't think I will. And then you will be bringing great light into the world. When you are divinely aligned, you bring light. And when you bring light, people around you see things. It's common sense. That's really all it is. And it's nothing that anyone doesn't know. They've just been distracted from it.
Now, is there anything else, any warnings, any words of advice that you want to tell our people?
I'm not going to warn anybody. I think by this time, if you haven't figured out what's going on some level or another, you probably are going to be entrenched in fear for the rest of your life. I want to tell people there's a great deal of hope with this. You are hearing doctors say, oh, it's happening. It's been 3 to 5 years. The spike proteins, people are dying. People are dying. Half my clientele is dead. But there is a way out of this. But the way out of this is sovereignty and divine alignment first, which brings objectivity and common sense, which makes you a better citizen. And I think I also want to mention something, because we don't talk about shamanism or, I come from a genuine Armenian animist shaman's bloodline. America particularly has a sacred purpose on this planet, to unite the world in some new form of secular spirituality as we hear the waves of the fourth dimension lapping on our shores. This is a very sacred land created for a very sacred purpose. And I believe that I want to tell all the American citizens right now, can you remember what happened in 1776 when the British wanted to take away our guns? We shot them. That wasn't a bad thing. We crossed frozen rivers. All of this is not a romantic thing. Don't have some romantic notion about America's sacred purpose. But America is the place where we are supposed to bring all our faiths, religions, and thinkings together. And that will morph into some common philosophy of pure source sovereignty. We can do better as a human race.
We can, and I think that was very, and a different kind of interview to we normally do.
Yes.
And lots of, maybe we don't agree on all aspects, but that's
fine.
The way the world goes.
Yeah.
For me, there's my one and only, my Jesus, and I'm sorry, I'm just going to say
I have a lovely relationship with Emmanuel. I adore him. There's no problem with your Jesus. He's awesome.
my Lord.
Yes.
All right, on that note, thank you.
Thank you, Polly. It was a pleasure.